Captain's Log, Earth date 072424. This is Captain Stanford of the Starship Monroe. Wherever we go, haven, hope, honor. What's happening is I've just received an apron from Amazon. Those of you who know or have an inkling or an understanding of the chef world, Gordon Ramsay sits at the top, in my opinion. And then you have all the other chefs. And at Ramsay's restaurants, he gives an apron to those who he allows in his kitchen. And he does that on his shows as well. From Hell's Kitchen to Master Chef. You get an apron if your dish is acceptable, if your dish gets you into the next phase of the competition. I decided I wanted my own apron. I'll show you. It's in the style of the Ramsay aprons. Nice pinstripe option. I decided to get an apron for myself because I'm cooking with the intention of world-class food. Well, okay, I can't say that. I'm just really good in the kitchen, and I wanted to express my, my fanaticism for Ramsay's cooking, Ramsay's style, and if I don't mind saying so myself, buttocks, I finally got one. Platform 9 3/4 is, not as clean as I'd like it to be because I spent most of my time the last hour cooking instead of cleaning. Mission progress, target weight 185, we're doing well. I apologize about the last video where I questioned my exercise regimen. But there'll be no more of that because I feel like that's kind of sad. So I just won't talk about Mission 1 going forward. So let's get that out of there. We'll start the next videos, at least while I have these next two missions, with the film, and then what's next with the American Path. As for the film, it's still Chucky week, so Child's Play 3 is tonight's film. I feel like I'm behind. Isn't it Thursday? Should be it's Child's Play 3, I'm sure, but I don't know why I'm behind in that. Anyway, for the American Path, we do have we'll be going over Netanyahu's speech and Biden's speech later in the evening today. Both speeches happened today, and there's much to cover as far as Netanyahu's speech more than Biden's. And then we'll talk about Hillary's piece in the New York Times about Kamala Harris, which I haven't read yet, but I know is newsworthy enough. Because whatever Hillary has to say about Kamala is newsworthy. It can't be anything other than here's how you break the glass ceiling, or here's how difficult the ceiling is to break. You'll remember that Hillary Clinton was the last option for a female president. And if history is to be broken again, Hillary's words will matter to the extent that they matter. Having not read it, I cannot say just how symbolic or important the words are, but they warrant some study. And then we'll end the show by talking about about how the GOP has begun to take a racial attack against Kamala Harris, and I'll dig into what's going on there and present that for the American Path later this evening. Milestones. The Apron. I had been watching Kitchen Nightmares as a child while sitting at the library with nothing else to do but use the technology in front of me. As a millennial, I grew up with the computer. Never mind. is also the name for my Alexa Echo. Anyway, so I grew up watching Kitchen Nightmares, the American version, and then was so infatuated with it that I went and looked at so I watched the entire series of Kitchen Nightmares, the original series. Well, the American original, and then went on to the British version, which is the original, the rare, not rare, but rare in terms of meat, but the first Ramsay show. The one that started it all, Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, is the full title of that show. And I watched every episode of that as well, and learned the operation of the kitchen, learned how to keep food, how to explore the kitchen in a scientific way as well as a fresh way. One thing you'll get from Kitchen Nightmares is the idea of fresh food versus keeping it too long, versus the extraordinary messes that come along with a nightmare kitchen, which is usually food being undercooked, overcooked, or the restaurant being so dirty that its food has been there for months and they're still serving it. Other than that, Master Chef is a great show as well, but I'm a hardcore Kitchen Nightmares fan, and since Gordon's still on television and his record, his history, his success cannot be ignored in my mind or heart. So if Ramsay's out there, I'm sure he's not watching, but if he's out there, I want to be you so bad. Anyway, external challenges. Nothing to speak of besides my brother's argument earlier this evening, which now is neither here nor there. Families fight is common, but he and I can always hug it out later on, literally. Today's inner demon, nothing to speak of. Future healthy coping mechanisms. If you can't get into the kitchen you want, bring the kitchen to you. That's what I'm doing with the Apron. Excuse me. It's a recognition of my own skill. And if I don't do it, not that no one will, because I am taking a cooking class next semester that'll lead to a certificate in cooking. But being as impatient as I am, I should do this earlier than later. And I want to remind you that this video log, this vlog, the Captain's Log, is a journal. It is intended for myself to reorganize, to sort of to get on the same page with my schedule and my goals. And it's also an attempt to reach my son, who might be watching YouTube. And I almost didn't continue with the show after yesterday's sad conversation about exercise, but I realized my son might be watching and decided to keep going with this. I was just going to do the American Path and leave it at that, but I think my son should see me as often as he can. Without going into detail as to why he can't, let's move on with the log. How's the captain? The captain is overcome with pride and happiness. I've been looking for a watch. This ain't that bad. This is a fossil that I found at Ross for a quarter less than it was offered online. I finally got the Apron, and I also got a xylophone, which I've been looking for as long as for a couple weeks, but I finally found the right one, the right price. So I'm happy. I'm going to play music a lot different in my room. On the platform. going forward with a bit more melody instead of the djembe. The djembe I bought my nephew that doesn't really produce good enough sound, and is a bit loud if you play it correctly. Or the guitar that I'm struggling to pick up, even though I can play it kind of well. The xylophone I should get a grip on that a little easier once I start watching some YouTube tutorials, which is on the to-do list. Xylo tutos. That's epic. What's next? What's next is Child's Play 3, The American Path, and best event of the day, receiving the apron, because it's like I got an apron from Ramsay himself, which, that's foolish. He didn't give it to me. If he does give me one in the future, I'd be very happy. I'd be a little older than his. Well, I'd just be one of his millennials. Apparently, MasterChef is doing a generations show at the moment. I'd be one of those millennials in the competition, and I'd outcook every single one of them. Anyway, give me an ingredient. Honestly, as long as it's not shallots. Not shallots, but shallots. Fucking beef Wellington, or like one of Ramsay's common big tests, like scallions, or not scallions. What is it? Scallops? I think it's scallops. Like, I don't know how to cook the fine dining food just yet, because I haven't been in those kitchens yet. But as a busboy, I saw a lot at Bon Appetit, and that was my experience lately in the kitchen. I can't wait to get into another one. And I lived with one of the chefs as a roommate, and so he didn't really impress me, though. I thought he was a bit phoned in as far as his work was concerned. But glad I left that place. Best event of the day was getting the apron. Today's favorite person / character might as well be Gordon Ramsay. Who else am I talking about so much? Let's see. If you have an Aurora and you need and you need some cooking that is tasteful as well as specific to your diet or your I don't know. I don't fucking know. All I know is bullocks, balls, fucking shit. I'm on the spot and I'm trying to mimic my hero and I can't get it done right. All I have to say is I can cook well. I can cook forcefully or softly. I can cook tasty or I don't do disgusting. Never have I made a disgusting dish. That was my fault. But yeah, that's enough of that. Buttocks. Sorry to Jake Gyllenhaal, we ran out of time. I love you, Johnny. Stanford out.